Ladies and gentlemen, there's a recent report that says that RFK Jr. could be a vice president, a pick for VP, a Trump VP pick. Okay? That is a very interesting possibility. Is it likely? Probably not. It's probably not likely. He's a Democrat. And he is, Kennedy family, obviously. John Kennedy, JFK, Robert Kennedy. So RFK Jr., that would be stunning, astonishing, something unexpected. But they have the same foreign policy. They really do. RFK Jr. might not agree at this point because he's running as a Democrat. So he's running for president as a Democrat right now. But they have the same foreign policy, number one. Okay? They oppose never-ending military conflict. This is why it's a moral imperative to vote for Trump. Okay? All of this nonsense about his personality, this obsession over his mannerisms and his attributes in terms of character, he's a better human being than Biden. Much better human being. But that's a whole other story. Much better. And if you're a morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat, just ask why not one person in Biden's administration and not one person in the entire media apparatus from the Times to the Washington Post, Atlantic, MSNBC, CNN, not one person has ever said, hey, maybe we should, as a country, try to find some kind of peace or fire or settlement in Europe to stop the invasion that took place, to end finally the conflict, the invasion that took place under Biden's watch. Anyway, that's another story. They have the same foreign policy. So that's number one. You can look at articles written by RFK Jr. There's one in Politico about foreign policy. About foreign policy in the Middle East. And you can look at his views on neoconservative foreign policy, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, the same foreign policy as Trump, the same values when it comes to stopping and preventing endless military conflict quagmires and invasions. And you look what's taking place right now with Taiwan. And God forbid there could be a second invasion under Biden's watch. I mean, the world is crumbling, and all Democrats and media can do, and everybody from like Jimmy Kimmel to Stephen Colbert to the wonderful journalists at all the publications that serve as PR firms for the Democratic Party, all they could think of is Trump's personality. Meanwhile, foreign policy is a catastrophe. So RFK Jr., same foreign policy, really. If you look at, there's a Politico article that he wrote in 2016, but there's a lot of articles that he's written. He's on record as stating that pretty much the same foreign policy as Trump. Economic policy, likely similar. Okay? In terms of the you-know-what issue that Democrats, they actually disagree on that. So that's actually because, Trump started that under his administration and happened very quickly. And, of course, RFK Jr. is an opponent of that. Okay, but see, a great many voters or supporters of President Trump will gravitate towards the fact that he's able to speak his mind and oppose a prevailing fabricated consensus on a whole bunch of topics. So that's actually a big positive. The media will despise RFK Jr. in the same manner they will Trump, which actually will be to Trump's advantage and to RFK Jr.'s advantage as well. Okay? So they're both unique individuals who speak their mind and who are not afraid of media. That alone is a winning ticket, even better than DeSantis and Trump, in my opinion. Hear me out. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, right now. According to a recent report, he's thinking about that, or it's a possibility. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. And become part of a newsletter. Go to contactgoodman88@gmail.com. My Patreon is below, ladies and gentlemen. And the super thanks is below next to the like and the share buttons. In terms of economic policy, they have very similar economic. I would say RFK Jr. is running as a Democrat, so he's not going to actually make the same case in the manner that Trump will on issues like immigration. But he probably, just based on his interviews and his writing, maybe he has more similarities in terms of foreign policy, but in terms of economic policy, we had record low poverty under Trump in 2019. We had record low poverty. We had record highs in household median income. When Marianne Williamson is talking about all the economic disparities, she's running as a Democrat. So is RFK Jr., but that's a different story. I mean, he's a Kennedy, so what is he going to do, run as a Republican? But when you have Bernie Sanders or Marianne Williamson or AOC, it's all a racket. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I can tell you that our economy is far worse. We're going to have bank runs. I wrote a Federalist article that I wrote predicting the 2021. In 2021, I said we're going to have a devastating stock market crash. 2022 was a terrible year for the market, but we're going to see bank runs and a terrible market crash. And I've been talking about further invasions in the world because of Biden's foreign policy. But anyway, you have a racket that ignores when I was writing those articles about Bernie Sanders, I thought that he would be as accomplished and I thought that he would be as successful as Trump was. In 2019, we had record highs in household median income. Nobody knows this. It's in CNN articles. You can look at the St. Louis Fed. You can look at all the data. People were doing better. We didn't have 6% inflation. We didn't have bank runs. We didn't have all these problems. Then Democrats, it was their decision through media and through Twitter and bureaucrats who shall remain nameless to tank the U.S. economy. That is a fact. You can say, well, it wasn't. Trump didn't take it seriously, so we had to tank the U.S. economy. It's like, no. That was a choice to be made. And there was hysteria and an apoplectic reaction, of course, to everything. Everything is the most apoplectic reaction. If you don't listen to Democrats, the end of the world. And then, of course, it doesn't work out, and then they just move on to the next frenzied reaction to a serious problem. But RFK Jr., he's not going to market himself now running as a Democrat, but he's really the Trump version. He's the closest thing to Trump in the Democratic Party. And if he was Trump's VP, you would have a lot more independents voting for Trump, I think. I mean, DeSantis would be a good one too, but see, if DeSantis runs, he won't garner the support. He won't carve out a niche within the Republican Party. It'll actually hurt him. He'll actually lose support among voters for Trump. But RFK Jr., in terms of foreign policy, they actually differ on that major issue. He's known for that. But see, the thing is, they have the same mentality towards media, which is, words we can't even talk about now. They have the same mentality. They have the same view, and media has the same, like I said, frenzied, apoplectic response to both RFK Jr. and Trump. That alone will serve as that ticket would be a monumental, biblical, the most amazing choice to serve as an alternative to the dreadful state of affairs we have now. Plus, you have Robert Kennedy's son. And The best thing about JFK was that he didn't worship intel agencies. The opposite is true. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. The very opposite is true. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Thank you.